Hello? Today we're going to talk about something rather important. It's about how we used to listen to music and watch films before everything was just a click away on the internet. This is the story of physical media. Those tangible things you could hold, drop, and occasionally get tangled. At the heart of this story is a Dutch company called Philips. You might know them for your electric shaver or perhaps a sensible kitchen blender, but as it turns out, they are properly significant figures in the history of home entertainment. They didn't just make things, they invented the very formats that defined entire generations, shaping how we consumed our favorite songs and movies for decades. It's a tale of brilliant engineering, clever thinking, and some rather nifty plastic boxes. Our journey begins way back in 1963. Now, at this time, listening to music on the move was a bit of a faff. You had clunky reel-to-reel tape machines, which were brilliant but hardly something you could pop in your pocket. The alternative was the vinyl record, which was even less portable unless you enjoyed the sound of scratches. The engineers at Philips, led by a clever chap named Lou Ottens, decided this simply wouldn't do. They wanted to create something small, cheap, and easy to use. Their solution was a stroke of genius, the compact cassette. It was a small plastic shell containing two tiny spools of magnetic tape. It was simple, it was robust, and it changed everything. The cassette wasn't just a new product, it was a revolution in a tiny box. Suddenly, you could record music from the radio. You could create your own personal playlists, which we called mixtapes. This was a profoundly personal act, a way of sharing your impeccable taste with friends or a potential romantic interest. The Walkman, which came along later, wouldn't have existed without the humble cassette. Philips, in a rather uncorporate move, decided not to be greedy. They licensed the technology for free, allowing it to become a global standard. This decision ensured that a cassette bought in Tokyo would work perfectly well in a player bought in Amsterdam, a simple idea that guaranteed its worldwide success. This little invention from the Netherlands had an enormous impact on culture. It democratized music. No longer were you just a passive consumer, listening to what record companies decided to release. You could be a curator, a creator of your own sonic world. The cassette tape became the soundtrack to road trips, teenage bedrooms, and morning commutes for millions of people. It was the physical embodiment of a playlist long before Spotify was even a glimmer in someone's eye. And it all started in a Philips laboratory in Belgium, with a team that just wanted a better way to listen to their favorite tunes. It's a good lesson, really. Sometimes the most profound changes come from the simplest ideas. As brilliant as the cassette was, it had its limitations. The tape could stretch or get chewed up by a hungry player, and the sound quality, while decent, wasn't perfect. By the late 1970s, the boffins at Philips were already thinking about the next big thing. They were experimenting with lasers and optical discs, developing a technology called Laserdisc. It was a massive, vinyl-sized disc that could hold video, but it was expensive and a bit cumbersome. At the same time, over in Japan, another electronics giant, Sony, was working on its own version of a digital audio disc. Both companies realized that if they launched competing formats, it would be a complete mess for everyone. So, in a rare moment of corporate harmony, these two fierce rivals decided to work together. It was a bit like getting a cat and a dog to agree on what to have for dinner, but it worked. Philips brought its expertise in laser optics and disc manufacturing to the table, while Sony contributed its superior digital encoding and error correction methods. This collaboration was crucial. It meant that instead of a format war that would confuse consumers and ultimately slow down progress, the world would get one single, unified standard. They agreed on the disc's size, its storage capacity, and how the digital information would be read by the laser. The result of this grand alliance was, of course, the compact disc, or CD. Launched in 1982, it was a marvel of modern technology. This small, shiny platter could hold over an hour of crystal-clear digital audio. There was no hiss, no crackle, and no wear and tear from a needle. You could skip instantly to your favorite track without the delicate business of lifting and dropping a stylus. It felt like something from the future had arrived in our living rooms. The public was absolutely captivated. The CD offered a level of audio fidelity and convenience that was simply unheard of at the time, making vinyl and cassettes feel suddenly rather old-fashioned. The success of the CD was astronomical, and it completely transformed the music industry. Albums were re-released, and people eagerly replaced their entire vinyl collections with these new, durable, and frankly cool-looking discs. Philips didn't just co-invent the format. They were also one of the leading manufacturers of CD players, bringing this new technology into homes across Europe and the world. This partnership between Philips and Sony stands as a perfect example of how collaboration, even between competitors, can lead to technological leaps that benefit everyone. It set the stage for a digital future, all thanks to a shiny little disc. The CD was fantastic for music, but the digital age was hungry for more. People wanted to watch films with the same digital clarity and convenience. The old VHS tapes were fuzzy, bulky, and prone to wearing out. The world needed a digital replacement, and once again Philips was at the forefront of the innovation. In the mid-1990s, several companies were racing to develop a high-capacity optical disc for video. It looked like another format war was brewing, a messy fight between two major contenders, one backed by Philips and Sony, and another by Toshiba. This time, however, the industry managed to avoid a full-blown conflict by agreeing on a compromise. The result of this technological negotiation was the Digital Versatile Disc, or DVD, officially launched in 1997. Philips played a key role in its creation, contributing essential technology for the disc's structure and the laser system used to read it. The DVD was a remarkable step up from the CD. It looked identical but could hold a full-length feature film with far better picture and sound quality than a VHS tape. Not only that, but it had space for extra features like behind-the-scenes documentaries, director's commentaries, and multiple language tracks. The DVD wasn't just a new way to watch movies, it was a whole new way to experience them. However, technology never stands still. Just as the DVD had replaced the VHS, something new was on the horizon. Driven by the arrival of high-definition television, HD TVs needed an HD video source to look their best, and the standard DVD just didn't have enough storage space to hold a high-definition film. This led to the next great format war, a proper battle this time between Blu-ray, backed by Sony and Philips, and HD DVD, championed by Toshiba. For a couple of years, consumers were faced with a confusing choice, with film studios picking sides and releasing movies on one format or the other. It was a bit of a muddle, to be honest. Ultimately, Blu-ray emerged as the winner. Its victory was sealed when major film studios and the popular PlayStation 3 console threw their weight behind it. The name Blu-ray comes from the blue-violet laser used to read the disc, which has a shorter wavelength than the red laser used for DVDs. This allows for much more data to be packed into the same size disc, providing the enormous capacity needed for stunning high-definition video and audio. From the simple cassette to the complex Blu-ray, the thread of Philips' innovation runs through the entire history of modern physical media, constantly pushing for more storage, better quality, and new ways to enjoy our entertainment. While Philips was busy inventing the future of music and film, it was also making a name for itself in a more everyday, domestic sort of way. For many people, especially in Europe, the Philips brand was synonymous with quality home electronics. They weren't just a high-tech laboratory for optical media. They were a familiar presence in the living room, the kitchen, and the bathroom. Long before you were putting a Philips DVD into a Philips player, you might have been watching the evening news on a Philips television set. The company was a giant in the world of consumer electronics, producing a vast range of goods that made life a bit easier and more entertaining. Their televisions were a fixture in countless households. Philips was a pioneer in television technology, constantly innovating with features that improved picture quality and design. They were known for making reliable, well-built sets that became the focal point of the family living room. But their reach extended far beyond that. If you went into the kitchen, you were just as likely to find a Philips appliance. The company produced everything from coffee makers and toasters to electric kettles. Their blenders, in particular, were a common sight, quietly and efficiently helping to prepare soups and smoothies in kitchens all over the continent. This wide-ranging product line was a key part of the company's success. By producing both groundbreaking entertainment formats and dependable everyday appliances, Philips built an enormous amount of brand trust. You knew that if it had the Philips name on it, whether it was a state-of-the-art CD player or a simple electric toothbrush, it was likely to be a well-engineered and durable piece of kit. This reputation for quality across such a diverse portfolio is something few companies manage to achieve. They successfully balanced being an innovator on the world stage with being a trusted friend in the home. In conclusion, the legacy of this Dutch company is truly immense. From the humble cassette tape that gave us the mixtape to the Blu-ray disc that brought high-definition cinema into our homes, Philips has been a constant and pivotal force. They didn't just follow trends, they created them, often through clever collaboration and a willingness to share their inventions for the greater good. And while doing all that, they still found the time to make a cracking television and a rather good blender. So next time you stream a movie, spare a thought for the physical media that came before it and the Dutch giant that was so often behind it all. It's quite a story.